Good morning. You join me at Headlands Farm Fishery. Now it was a new fishery on my list. As you can imagine, most day tickets are absolutely rammed, and yeah, believe it or not, this little farm fishery, which has two lakes, a specimen lake, is also rammed. So I'm going to probably find myself on the bottom lake. Like I say, there are two lakes, top and bottom. Bottom is absolutely empty. I've taken a little walk around with a bucket and put it in a real nice likely looking swim that I'm going to fish, at least probably until maybe one or two drop off the specimen lake. But for now, you join me in sort of like the paying in hut. You would have just seen over my shoulder. You pop your details in a folder along with your money and stick it in an envelope and drop it through the letterbox. But yeah, these are the sort of facilities that you get on site. A load of pictures on the wall from the various different fish that reside in obviously both lakes. You got microwave there for your food, free tea and coffee, and you've also got toilet and sort of washing up / water facilities outside as well, which is also quite handy. But yeah, these are like some of the stamper fish that you can probably look to catch whilst you're here. Looking at it, some nice scaly ones. I know in Lake 2 a smaller stamper fish, but it might be worth just dropping on there for today, just for a bite or two, whilst maybe one or two people pull off of the main specimen lake. So I'm going to go get the barrow loaded up, get myself around there and try and beat this rain. Wow, as per usual, absolutely roasting, barrowing my gear round to the swim, but yeah, as I say, I'm on the bottom lake, and one other person has joined me, but they've gone sort of another, I don't know, good couple of 100 meters down the bank on that way, so I'm not being sort of interfered with anywhere whatsoever. So this is the swim that I've decided to drop into at the moment. As you can see, it's an absolute mud bath, which says to me that obviously it's a popular spot, and I can see why. Because you have you do have a lot of options really. Obviously you've got this area that leads down into like a little sort of like a little channel, then into like a little bay, comes out obviously around here. Got one island, channel, another island, open water area, obviously a load of marginal bushes / trees. You can chuck over to the far bank. There's a lot of options in this swim really, and that's probably the reason why, pretty much the reason why I chose it, to be quite honest with you. I've done a good couple of laps of this one. So on my way round I did see some plumes of bubbles just off this margin on the other side. Couldn't really see if there was any sort of silt or sort of debris disturbance on the bottom as such, because the light really isn't great at the moment. As I said, we are probably due a bit of rain in the next few hours, which might just switch them on. I was speaking to a gentleman who was just making himself a coffee, and he said it has been fishing relatively slow. But yeah, I'm here. I'm going to give it a go. Like I say, we are due to get a bit of rain, so I really want to get this brolly set up at least just to keep the stuff dry. See what happens through the day, and like I say, I might pop next door just to see if anyone's disappeared from sort of like midday onwards, anything like that. So just want to keep my options open really. Not to say that I won't fish on this lake for the next 48 hours, but you know, everywhere at the moment is rammed, and I don't really want to slot in just in between anyone and just fish for the sake of fishing. I've got a whole lake here. The stock's smaller, yes, but I've got pick of the lake at the moment, so I can pretty much dot myself around wherever I want. So anyway, enough talking. Let's get this brolly set up, get a couple of rods sorted. We can see if we can nick ourselves an early bite. I just quickly tied up a solid bag, because just over my shoulder, right on the entrance to where it just goes into like a real little secluded bay area, one is literally just nutted out right in the middle of the channel. So yeah, I couldn't get that solid bag tied up quick enough, so I'm going to quickly give it a jab of hemp oil, something to really draw them down into it. Yeah, I've been sort of like sitting in the swim for 5 minutes, and yeah, seen one already, so I really want to draw that attraction down to that solid bag, and hopefully any fish mooching around in this area might just come across these bag contents. But whilst I'm getting myself sorted with all the other stuff, you know, it'd be silly not to just drop a rod out and yeah, see if anything comes of it. Well, as you can see, both rods are out. So the right-hander, as I mentioned, went in the mouth of that channel. It leads into that separate little bit of the lake. And then the left-hander has gone just in a little sort of just off the cove of this corner of this island here. Drops down really nice and firmly. And yeah, just thought it was a nice little spot to start off with, just until I see anything else. Don't know if you can tell, but the rain is starting to move in, and yeah, there's some serious winds blowing from left to right as well. But fortunately, I'm quite sheltered here, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, it's rather cosy. And if you like, don't know if you can tell, but obviously just on the back of it, slash on the side of it. And where I set my brolly up, it's just tucked in nicely amongst the sort of trees behind me. So yeah, it's really quite sheltered and quite nice. Hence why I've still got my t-shirt on. And yeah, no hoodie or jacket. But believe it or not, on the drive in this morning, it was saying like 11-12 degrees on the car. On the old temperature on the car. So yeah, it definitely feels it. And like I say, pushing my barrow around and just getting things sorted in a rush because I see that fish. Yeah, I was absolutely sweating my nuts off. So feels good for a bite for certain. It's definitely yeah, definitely what you would class as sort of carpy conditions. So just going to sit back for an hour or so, keep an eye on what I can see of the water. Obviously with these islands, it does kind of block my view within reason, but I can see a good way down the left hand side, and I can see, like I say, right up to sort of this channel before it leads into that little bit. So whilst this sort of drizzle slash rain is going over this morning, I'm going to keep a real good eye on the water and just keep a scan on what's happening. The left hander, I just went with slip D rig, triple M wafter, tipped with a little yellow, little sighter, little sort of 10mm super fruit pop-up. So exactly what I used in my last video. I know it works. I'm a massive fan of those wafters, and because it went down nice and hard as well, I'm happy that that is presented nicely. So solid bag out on the right hand spot, loaded full of pellet, lash full of oil. We'll see what happens for a couple of hours. So yeah, that's what I'm really looking at the moment for the next few hours at least, just while this rain makes its way through. Whilst it was raining earlier, whilst I sat under the brolly, I see one show right up to my left hand side. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to have that left hand rod in from the island. Quickly whipped it in, knocked up a PVA mesh bag of pellet and wanged it down there. Now it's probably been out best part of an hour, nothing's really materialised until this one decides to give me an almighty drop back. I thought it was a liner at first, but the line just kept dropping down, and yeah, here we go, look. World's smallest carp in this lake probably. But it definitely wasn't this one that boshed out. The other one was a lot bigger. But look at him for a nice little fully. Such a pretty little fish. Not the size that I was intending, but still, it's a start. Obviously, like I say, I wanged that bait, that triple M wafter, tipped off with that bit of yellow, down to where I see the show. And yeah, this little scamp has snaffled at the bag contents and that wafter. Whilst I was just sat there, just re-rigging up the rod, which is now done. So that's what done the damage. It's a little yellow tipper, sort of little super fruit pop-up on top of a wafter, and then a mesh bag of pellet. One fish has nutted out twice, about 4 or 5 rod lengths just up this margin. So where I had that fish from was a little bit longer. So yeah, I'm going to get this one flicked out nice and quickly. We might be able to nab ourselves another fish. Well, it's been a good probably 2.5 hours since that solid bag went out to that first showing fish, and nothing's materialised yet. So I've had it in. I don't really like to leave them out sort of anything longer than that really, especially when I know that there are potentially some smaller fish sort of in the lake that could hoover up those micro pellets and them 2mm pellets with absolutely no problems at all. So I don't really like to leave them out for too long, knowing that might just be sat there as a single hook bait, kind of defeating the object of a solid bag really. So whilst I got it in, I'll just quickly show you how I got it set up for this session. So you would have seen me use this on the last session, the Graviton tungsten tubing, super supple, super heavy. I've managed to also get hold of some brown solid bag stems, which along with this tubing looks pretty decent, to be fair. If you would have seen obviously the earlier footage, the actual lake water is pretty murky, and yeah, typical of sort of like a farm fishery really, real murky sort of colour into the water. So this should blend in down on that lake bed, absolutely lovely. Got 2.5 ounce inline pear lead, as you can see, pear in shape, running through to a trimmed down anti-tangle sleeve, quick change swivel, and then a short 3.5 inch solid bag rig, wide gape, size 6 micro barb, and then down to a little 10mm wafter. Now that's the one I brought in. Usually pinks are my go-to, do me a bite, but on this occasion I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to probably just get another colour out of the pot. I'm probably going to go for either a krill and tuna yellow, washed out yellow, or a juice sort of bright yellow. The bite I had earlier was on obviously a yellow tipper, and with this being like the smaller fish sort of lake, it may see a lot of corn, that sort of thing, so it's pretty much, there might be something in the colour yellow, so probably going to go with one of those two, either the bright or the pastel one. So that's kind of the setup that's going inside the bag. Now the bags themselves that I've been using are an absolute bargain. £3.20, Codex melts, perforated or unperforated, so plain or perforated. Those are the ones with the little holes in them. Break down quicker, allow the water to obviously get into the bag and break it down, allowing your contents to be on the lake bed a little bit quicker than the ones that are plain, because of obviously the water has to penetrate it from the outside in, whereas all the holes and stuff on the bag help it to break down a lot quicker. But yeah, £3.20. These are the small size ones, which I use anyway. The small size, I feel they're just enough for a bite. On waters like this, I feel it'd be just enough to be able to recast every hour and try and nick myself a bite. So the small ones are definitely my go-to size. I've noticed as well that they do actually come in different sizes, so you've got long sort of tube ones or actual quite larger ones. I've actually got some here in fact, because I thought, you never know, I'll give them a go and just see what's what. I was going to use potentially these ones on my last video, because Matt was actually going to look at bringing his baiting spoon, which didn't materialise. But yeah, they would have been good to sort of load up and sort of bait and spoon out to little holes in weed or up against snags, that sort of thing. So I can't see you casting one of these size or one of these size ones, but if you want a real compact tight area of bait, then those bigger bags are bang on for that if you're spooning out and you don't really want to go spooking anything that's in your swim. So yeah, it's Codex Melt solid bags, absolute bargain. I say small ones, just enough for a mouthful, just enough for my bait to get tucked into the corner and filled up with the pellets, and then cast around the areas of the lake that's in front of me really. So like I say, nothing's materialised from that from the front of that channel where I see the fish show this morning. So what I'm going to do is probably just dot it around in and around the front of the swim, just to try and mix it up a bit really, and just give it an hour or so, and then if not, recast it again somewhere else. So I think I'm going to chuck it up to the island this time round, so better get these loaded up with some goodies, get them out there. if you can see those slight ripples on the surface, because fish is just literally nutted out right off the corner of this tree, right on the corner. I had to grab the camera really to try and show you the aftermath of it nutting out, but yeah, it's literally just boshed right here. So I think what I'm going to do is go and get a handful of pellet and just lower it down, just flick a bit down there and just sneak up. I can creep around the back and have a little look and just keep an eye on it, see if I can see any smoking up, anything like that. So it has dried up on the left hand side of shows, so it might be that I need to swap the right hand over to the left hander and then bring the rod down and lower it down right off this tree. But let's go and get a little bit of pellet first and see if we can get any interest. As a left-hander, it's not really done anything for the best part of an hour and a half, maybe a little bit longer. I've had it in and I'm deciding to react on what I saw down on that right hand side margin. I made myself a quick brew, gonna knock that back and get this rod set up to go back out, but down the right hand side this time. So whilst I got it in, I thought I'd just quickly show you what I'm doing on this rod that's obviously different from the other rod. So what I've done is kept it to the brown setup. So again, the Graviton mud brown tubing, like you've seen at on the last video, and like you've seen on my other rod. Heavy, tungsten, supple, will hug anything out on that lake bed. Mud brown lead clip, mud brown lead clip sleeve, all sits flush in together. Slide that tubing inside there and it all works a dream. So on here I've got a 2.5 ounce. Oh, and we're in. Well, was not expecting that. Just trying to do a little sort of terminal tackle talk just as I had that other rod in, and yeah, that solid bag that went out just off the corner of the island absolutely rattled off, and we got ourselves a pretty little mirror in the net. So I'm going to get the mat and that sorted, get him up where you can have a look, and it looks like I'm going to have to get both rods out. Right, okay, so the result of moving that bag from sort of 2.5 hours down in the wrong place to an hour or so in the right place. This one's gone rattling off as I just started to do the sort of little terminal tackle talk on the other rod, and yeah, and this one has had that solid bag and hooped that rod right round. Buzzing. A bit bigger than the other one. Nice pretty colours on him. He's got his autumn colours starting to come through. Give me a great little scrap under the rod tip. Considering its size, he didn't want to give up too easily. Ooh, he's going to go. Told ya. But yeah, pretty little fish. It's got some little starburst scales on this sort of rear end down by its tail. But yeah, look at that one. Little solid bag muncher. That was taken on a yellow, the bright yellow hook bait in the end. I opted to choose the bright yellow 10mm, the juice wafter. So it looks like yellow could well be the right thing to do. So I've had one on the solid bag, one on the lead clip setup. Both my rods are in now, so I'm going to slip this one back and hopefully we can nick ourselves another one. Right, so where was we? Solid bag rod has gone back out, so hopefully we're not disturbed again, or hopefully we are, fingers crossed. But yeah, tubing, lead clip, 2.5 ounce
in 2.5 ounce in line, 2.5 ounce flat pair swivel lead, nothing too heavy. It is quite soft in places out there, so I don't want anything that's going to go plummeting into the silt. This should just lay flush. It should be not too heavy to go sort of digging in as such anyway. So it's done me a bite already. Again, like last time, I'm kind of using it free running. There is no pin in the lead clip. That allows for a little shake of the head, the lead to just pop off, the lead clip sleeve just to pop off, the lead to pop off, this to become running with the slightest bit of sort of you know, strength by the fish. That's going to pull that swivel out of that lead clip really easy, and like I say, it just becomes a sort of like an initial bolt, initial hit from the lead, and then it just becomes a free running rig, which is, like I say, a little bit different from what they're used to. And yeah, so far one bite on this setup and one bite on the solid bag setup. So what I was going to do is kind of just judge it really as to which sort of setup was doing me the most bites, and then yeah, I was just going to make both exactly the same really. So at the moment it's 1-1, so let's see how they fare over the rest of the session. Like I say, I might have to just tweak it and just chop and change, but that's the two setups. Really simple, really safe, really effective, and yeah, you can't fish any easier than that. Seems like everyone on Top Lake had the same idea: get down earlier in the week and beat the rush, but all the rush turned up at the same time. But now it seems like 3 people are actually leaving, and it looks like one of the lad in the corner looks like he's on a day ticket, because I can't see no bed chair or nothing. So what I'm going to do is probably sack off Bottom Lake for the remainder of my session and get this lot onto the Barrow. Really, I want it to be in on the Specimen Lake, and yeah, if the opportunity now allows me to get on there, then I'm going to jump in there. At the moment, these two lads in the 2 swims just behind me, they've packed down everything, they've just got their rods out now. So what I might do is just drop into there for the moment until I see the lad, and go and have a chat with the lad over in the corner in a swim that I really wanted to get in, that I know a lot of fish come out from catch reports, and just have a word with him and see what time he's dropping off. Because yeah, if he's pulling off a little bit later, I'll just literally flick the rods out in there and then go around when he's disappeared and jump in there behind him for the rest of my session. So that's my thinking at the moment. I can leave the rods out, I can get everything packed down onto the Barrow and get it through the trees, which will take me to Top Lake, and then yeah, I can just sit on that and see what happens through the next few hours. But that's my plan of attack. If I feel it's not happening over on Top Lake, I can always just come and just bring the rods round and just drop onto Bottom Lake maybe tomorrow, to see if I can nick another bite or two. But I've had a couple of fish, I wanted to get in there. I don't really want to be catching sort of single 10-pound fish if I can help it. So it's time to get my backside in gear and get this lot packed up and onto the Barrow. We are 99% set up, all bar one rod, and getting the sticks out and deciding where I want to put the rods really for the night. It seems like I'm probably going to be the only one down this end of the lake. There's 2 lads right up the other end, but there's a massive channel in between me and them, so I can't disturb them, they can't disturb me. But it looks like I've got the whole of this end of the lake to myself. So there's a little swim there, the swim that I'm in, and another swim there that goes into sort of like a corner bay. Island, some lilies, there's a cut through there, massive overhanging willow there. You know, there's options galore. I could probably do with 6 rods in this swim, if I'm quite honest. As you may see, there is one already out. There has been some proper fizzing up, just going sort of in between me and the corner of that island, say about halfway. been good 3 or 4 sets of bubbles, and yeah, what I've done is I've flicked a solid bag right over the back of them and then just drawn it in, and then just allowed it to obviously hopefully just drop on top of their heads without too much disturbance. But I had the solid bag, obviously rod, pretty much ready, so I've just whacked a new bait on, stuck some pellet in it, and yeah, flicked it out, because you never know if there's fish down there having a little mooch around. Now that it's really quiet, might be a chance of nicking a bite. But for the sake of just sticking that rod upside down with a spool sort of open for half an hour while I just sort out other bits and pieces, got to be in it to win it. But yeah, I really don't know what to do with these 2 rods. So many options. You know, I've got this whole, like I say, this whole half of the lake to myself really, so I'm gonna have a little think about what I want to do, and get some food on the go as well, because I am absolutely starving. So the afternoon's drawing on, don't even know what the time is, but I'd imagine it's probably close to 4, half 4 I'd imagine. But yeah, that's where we're at the moment, and that's what I'm now looking at, from what's gone from being an absolute rammed lake to basically having the place to myself. Let's see if I can make the most of it and try and nick myself a fish before I have to go home on Saturday morning. That is both rods out, and as you can see over my shoulder, it's turned into a beautiful evening. That sun is pushed through those clouds throughout the day, and yeah, it's illuminating that sort of margin and island. Absolutely lovely. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's been a bit of a mad one since getting into the swim, trying to find areas that I want to fish, getting a bit of bait out, getting the rod sorted, getting home set up. So yeah, I haven't really sort of done any camera work as such, but both the rods are staying the same. I've got one going out to sort of like the face of the island to my left. Probably is a bit cheeky, because it would be other people's sort of water if they were fishing in those pegs, but as I'm the only one down here, I just fancied sticking one over to the edge of that island. So yeah, I'm not interfering with anyone because there is nobody here. The right-hander, that's gone off the island sort of just in front of me. It's a nice sort of bushy, I'll just turn the camera around, that bush there, it just comes out a bit, and yeah, it's gone out just off the face of it. I've put a bit of pellet over the top of it as well, just to see it through the night. But that's what I'm doing on both the rods. Obviously I'll reassess them in the morning, because I'd imagine it's Friday, people are going to be turning up, so I'm probably going to have to get that left-hander in at some point if it doesn't go before, and yeah, decide sort of what I want to do for the rest of the 24 hours. But for now, both rods are out and they're fishing. What am I going to do now? Get some grub on. I'm absolutely starving. I know, little bacon and egg wrap, something like that, just to sort me out for the night. But yeah, everything is set up. It's a bit of a pigsty underneath the old tactical brolly at the moment. Need a bit of a sort out. Just trying to have a bit of a tidy up. So I literally launched everything onto the barrow and just pushed it through the trees up the path and into the swim. So yeah, everything's a bit all over the place at the moment. So really quiet night last night. Obviously I did hear, I think it was two fish last night bush out, but obviously there was that flurry of activity just before obviously it got dark, and I did feel fairly confident, to be fair. Obviously the 2 rods went down really nice, and yeah, I was kind of feeling quite hopeful of something might happen, considering I had obviously the lake to myself. But yeah, nothing's materialised of that. it's literally just turned first light. It's really, it went really chilly about 3-4 o'clock last night, and yeah, I was actually quite cold. I just couldn't get comfortable, couldn't get settled, and yeah, it was pretty chilly. I'm just currently watching the mist roll off the lake, and thinking about getting my first brew on the go. Not actually seen anything show this morning since sort of you know, just being awake for the last half hour or so and just watching the water. I've not actually seen anything, but yeah, obviously it's Friday morning. Don't really know what's going to happen today, considering obviously a lot of people come earlier in the week. I don't know if it's going to get busier sort of from maybe like mid-afternoon onwards. I don't really know, to be fair. It's obviously my first time here, so I don't really know what time sort of you know, turning up time is as such. So I'm just going to have to play it by ear really. But yeah, I'm just going to keep my eyes on the water for the next hour or two, see what materialises, get the coffee on, so I'm absolutely gagging, and yeah, we can maybe have a reassess of the situation and maybe create a new plan of attack depending on who turns up and goes where. But yeah, I'm just going to watch this beautiful morning start. Look at that, can't beat it, can you? As fresh as it is. I'm just going to watch that mist start to burn away, and hope that one of the rods rips off. Just as I'm bringing myself round to the world, sipping my coffee, trying to wake myself up and get myself warm, I have just heard an almighty bosh down this left hand side, and it's what, 20 yards away. So where I see that one crash out last night, right tight off the margin, but a bit further up, one has come right down and just into this, just on the corner where it comes into this little bay area. So the sun is starting to make its way through. It's just kind of behind this tree. But if I come and stand down here, I'll be able to flick it over to the corner of that margin. And obviously this right hand rod, it has been out sort of best part of 12 hours minimum, and yeah, I've not really seen or heard anything. Most of the activity seems to be down obviously this left hand side area. So I've had that rod in, I have re-rigged it up, got a new fresh bait on there, little PVA bag, and I'm just going to flick it over to that margin. So being opportunist that I am, if one or two fish are just grazing up and down this margin, hopefully just this one little mouthful, this one little trap will slip one up. But I'm going to flick it out there now. Like I say, the sun is just starting to rise, warm me up a bit, dry a little bit of the kit off, and yeah, hopefully might just switch these fish on. But that bosh was just too much of an opportunity to miss, so I'm going to get this out and keep everything crossed that I managed to nick one. It's probably about 9:30, 10:15, and as you can see, a couple of guys have turned up down on that bottom bank. So you've got one gent here, and you've got another guy, his mate, just a swim or two down. So they are occupying that back bank, and obviously I am fishing just because I had the lake to myself right off the front of this corner of the island. And although it's not immediately in their water, you know, I do feel that it is taking liberties as such, even though, like I say, it's not directly in their water. You know, I am fishing over to an area where they're obviously going to be, and they're going to have a couple of rods themselves. So I'm going to need to have a little bit of a think and have a little bit of a rejiggle with the rods. I think I'm going to still stick with that one down the left hand side. It's an untouched area of water, only I can fish it, and yeah, it seems like a nice little corner area. if the fish do get in and around there. And I'm thinking now with the right hander, I think I'm going to split the rods on the stick, so just have one rod on one stick each, have one, like I say, the left hander in my swim here down to the left hand side, and then have the other one just in here and sticking it over in this corner. Got this massive overhanging willow which probably goes back the best part of 6 to 10 foot, I reckon, based on how far this sort of channel comes back. So I can imagine this is a good area for the fish to hold up in. There are a couple of anglers down there, this channel, and then obviously this leads out into the main body of the lake, but obviously this overhanging willow is a good area for me to think about putting a rod just in that corner. Not too tight, I don't want to go too tight, but it does definitely give me an option, and it does seem like a good area to maybe ambush them if they are getting in and around, because there's a bit of a sanctuary there for them really. So with that, obviously I can fish it down there, and my other rod is literally be just there, so I can just have the rod in the middle, and I'm not going to cause myself any problems with you know, trying to grab a net if I am lucky to get a fish, because the rods are too far apart. So I'm only doing that because it's safe to do so. Rig made, ready to go on that right hander, left hander's still out, but before I need to do that, I need to do a little bit of a sort of health and safety check really, a bit of a, you know, housekeep around the area to make sure that if the rod goes on the right hand side, I'm not going to be running into bits and pieces. You know, I've got a clear sort of footing to get to the rod, because it's all well and good sort of having these rods split, but I need to make sure that I can get to them immediately before it obviously gets into any of those overhangs or anything like that. So obviously I have my barrow and that down here, so I need to get that up and out of the way. I need a clear route basically to the rods, so that I'm not going to be trampling over anything to get to that rod. So that's out of the way. Nice clear path to the rods. So I've split them on single sticks now, as you can see. Single stick, got the rod just running down to the floor, and then pegged in. Peg is rock solid, that ain't moving. Rod ain't moving, that ain't coming up. So before I cast out, once I've cast out, I'll get that, push right down, and yeah, that's as solid as a rock. That ain't budging. So there's no chance of that rod going anywhere when it's being fished over to that corner. And again, the left hand one is replicated the same. Nothing in the immediate way. What I do need to do is get this net and just drop it in the middle of both of the rods. So the rods are like 10 foot apart really. Just tuck that up in there, so nothing in the way to get to either rod. Fishing safely, fishing effectively, and most importantly I'm not going to lose any gear. So let's get this rig on that rod, flick it out for the day, and yeah, we'll just see what materialises really throughout the day. Might just give that corner a light peppering of pellet, just to give them something to draw them in, try and draw them out from down in that channel underneath that willow if there are a few fish there. I have clipped the rod up as well, got a nice sort of flick over to there, so it's not going in the trees or in the sort of island as such. So yeah, let's get that rod out and we can sit back and chill for an hour. It's just after 6 PM and I've pretty much done next to no filming today. From sort of like midday onwards, we've had sort of rain showers and showers come over, and to be quite honest, it's been absolutely dead. I've not seen a single thing, but everyone has now departed the lake, pretty much like yesterday, and it's just me again. And it's funny, isn't it? You don't see anything all day, and then the minute that everybody leaves, I've seen one show right down here, sort of just off around the corner of that island where I intend on putting my rod again tonight. Like I say, the two guys down there had nothing all day. Obviously I've not seen anything all day, but yeah, it's probably half an hour, 45 minutes since they've gone. I've been down to sort of like the clubhouse. I've made myself a coffee because there's free refreshments in there. Kettle, help yourself. Microwave if you need to warm up food. Been to the toilet, and yeah, I've come out. I popped my phone on charge because you can charge your phones up, and yeah, lo and behold, I'm just stood there watching, and one is literally nutted out. Not seen anything all day. The minute all the lines are out the water, goosh, one's come flying out. So I have got my rods in, all rigged up, ready to go. I'm not going to fish that spot tonight because yeah, where it's obviously fishing up against snags, I'd want to be on it straight away, and I don't really feel comfortable with that rod being in there and locked up, and me not being able to get on it straight away. So a bit of a no-brainer really. Don't really want to be fishing that sort of through the night. But based on obviously what I've seen now, putting one back over to the island seems like the right idea, and I can only go on what I've seen sort of from this morning, putting one up against that margin again as well. So popping one up against the island, and one just off the corner here where I see one show just sort of on the edge there, and then this morning I see one show there. So I've been round, put a couple of handfuls of bait just sprayed around the corner there, not in one spot in particular, just in a bit of an arc, just following the corner and the contour of that margin. And yeah, like I say, one rod's going to go there, one rod's going to go there, and that is pretty much how I'm going to be fishing again for tonight. I've seen nothing else today to make me want to fish anywhere else. So I can only go on what I've seen previously really, and what happened this morning. So like I say, I'm all sorted now, ready for the night. It's coming up to nearly 6:30, and chances of anyone turning up now with probably an hour's worth of light, pretty slim. So I'm going to risk it and getting the rods out and settling in for the night. So fingers crossed, we've got just over 12 hours to try and nick ourselves a fish. Well, good morning, and as you can tell by the hood on my jacket, the frost on the mat, chair and everything else that I had on the barrow last night, it's been quite a chilly one, and rather uneventful as well, unfortunately. I didn't hear as many shows as I did the previous night, and yeah, I don't know if these these clear skies and what seems like freezing temperatures have just killed it off a little bit, but although they're showing and they're active, they haven't been feeding. And yeah, I was really confident last night, just for the fact that the rods went out bang on first time, first cast. Yeah, I couldn't have faulted anything with the way that I sort of fished last night to get them rods out. So just that's the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. Like I said, the rods are still out. Everything at the moment is just being sort of wiped down within reason, and semi-dry. I'll have to whack the heaters on in the car on the way home, that's for certain. But yeah, probably got half hour, 45 minutes of my session left, so I don't anticipate anything happening. But if it does, obviously I'll have the camera on for you guys, and yeah, hopefully we can share the moment together. But like I say, I don't anticipate anything happening just from the conditions this morning, and I've not actually heard anything since first light either, so hey, who knows. But yeah, I'm in the process of packing down. That needs a bit more of an airing out, because yeah, that is proper condensated this morning. And yeah, I'm going to get myself on the road. So if you've got this far, thank you for watching. I know I haven't had much success on Top Lake this session, but it was good to have a little day on Bottom Lake and nick a couple of fish. So it hasn't been an overall blank. It has been a blank obviously on Top Lake, but yeah, I do like a challenge. I could have easily sat on Bottom Lake for 48 hours and probably caught, you know, double after double, and just really wouldn't have pushed myself. So I'm glad that I come on to Top Lake, because that was my intention originally anyway. So yeah, if you got this far, thanks for watching. As always, like, comment, subscribe, leave me any sort of feedback on the video itself. I always enjoy like reading your comments and your interactions over on my YouTube and you know, any of my social media channels as well. So I'm going to leave it there. I've got half an hour or so to get this lot packed up, wiped down on the barrow and in the car, and I will see you next time when I am out on the bank. Thanks for watching, everyone.